We are ascending the 7 states of yoga. The first state is when you stop being a spiritual seeker and you become a spiritual practitioner or an enlightenment practitioner. In the first state you stumbled upon the essential nature of your own reality. This is sometimes called satori in the Japanese tradition. And in the second stage, you cultivate this. You come back to it. This is called self-enquiry, vichara. Curiously, in the previous paragraph, it didn't actually describe this vichara. It just described the behaviour of someone who might be involved in it. And these are secondary practices to vichara. Right conduct, practice of concentration and meditation, company of holy ones, knowing about right and wrong. In other words, you're doing things which are conducive to the quelling of your own psychological tendencies and the wayward nature of your mind. However, as I said, all of these are secondary. The prime thing is to keep coming back to realization of the nature of consciousness, of your own consciousness, to the realization of the nature of your own attention. So that's the second stage, which, as I said, was not really described here. Vasishta continued. Then he goes to the third stage, which is non-attachment, freedom. He assimilates the teachings of the scriptures and he lives with sages and listens to their teachings. In other words, you immerse yourself in the scriptural teachings. It seems to me, this is the reason why I'm doing these videos, is that understanding these traditional scriptures, these ancient scriptures, which I would refer to as wisdom scriptures, is the best support for reinforcing or encouraging the practice of self-realisation. Because in these scriptures, at least some of the time, we seem to be getting words from the enlightened mind, and we can catch a ride on these words and bring them back to ourself, bring them back to realisation of our own self, which can be quite easy to forget. And as we do this, this becomes our focus, and the things of the world no longer have the same dramatic appeal that they once had. Being indifferent to this world, he sleeps on slabs of stone and lives in the forest completely free from all contacts. Well, we're getting a traditional description here, aren't we? Traditionally, comfortable beds were seen as a good thing. In fact, I think Buddhist monks are supposed to sleep on low beds. There's actually a specific rule for Buddhist monks that their beds should not be more than a certain very small height off the ground, because high beds were regarded as luxurious. And you live in the forest completely free from all contacts. Such radical changes in lifestyle might be a result of your first realization of the truth. It can involve a major shake-up in your life. And perhaps it does mean being by yourself for a while. The effects could be mild or the effects could be dramatic. When you realize the nature of the truth, it puts your whole life into a different perspective. And it can be quite a shock. I mentioned once before what happened to Robert Pirsig, the author of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. His own inquiry led him to a complete breakdown. And the treatment at the time for breakdowns was lobotomies. This is what happened. But he was forging on by himself. He didn't have the support. He didn't have the support of the scriptures, although he was looking at the Tao Te Ching. But if you have some awareness that there is a process here, some intellectual understanding can at least help soften the impact. Some conceptual understanding of what's happening can stop the mind spiralling into some kind of point of no return. I think it's quite possible that the deeper your realization, the deeper can be the fall. So we need to keep stepping back and getting a bigger and bigger perspective so that we can let go with confidence and then pursue our realization to its deepest levels. So there's non-attachment. By the practice of the teachings of holy ones and scriptures and by doing good actions, he attains right perception of what is. I said that I thought this was quite a good description of the 7 states of yoga, but I'm not so sure now. You don't attain right perception by the practice of any teachings. In fact, we want to give up on perception altogether. But basically it's helpful if you can avoid getting into any trouble. This 3rd stage though is about non-attachment, so let's find out about non-attachment. This non-attachment is of 2 types, the ordinary and the superior. One who is endowed with ordinary non-attachment feels, I am not the experiencer nor the doer. I have nothing to do with anyone, nor has anyone anything to do with me. Whether what happens is because of past karma or because of divine will, whether it is pleasure or pain, what have I to do? Pursuit of pleasure is a dire disease. Prosperity is calamity. Meetings are only for parting. Time is all devouring. This is a conventional kind of teaching. By this means and by the company of the holy ones, by avoiding the contact of evil, by the proper direction of self-awareness, by intense self-effort, he gains correct understanding of the truth conquering everything. This is a conventional teaching here, and I don't think it's in the spirit of self-enquiry. When thus he has directly realized the truth, I am not the doer is either past karma or the divine will, and when he has crossed this ocean of samsara and rests in peace and silence, that is known as superior non-attachment or freedom. So in other words, superior non-attachment is the combination of inferior non-attachment. These stages of yoga happen simultaneously. It's not something which goes on through time. The first stage is realization. The second stage is reinforcement of that realization by further realization. The first stage is a realization which just happens. The second stage is when you actually cultivate that realization. You can actually engender it. The third stage means non-attachment, which just means not investing in things in the external world, notions of the external world. This is non-attachment or freedom. In it there is no division between inside and outside, above and below, substantiality and insubstantiality, inertia and consciousness, appearance and non-appearance. Then there arises in the heart the lotus known as wisdom, that is characterized by contentment and right action, and which yields the fruit of total freedom, which is the third stage. So the third stage is non-attachment or freedom. It's freedom from attachment to our notions.